Warriors! We're heading into a new financial system, specifically the QFS system, the quantum financial system. Now, I know this can be very, very confusing. Maybe you're new to my channel or new to cryptocurrency. This is something that's brand new for all of us. We have not had a new asset class since the 1600s. Think about this. What's happening right now will not happen in our children's history. It's not going to happen in our history, but the biggest shift in generational wealth is right now. Now, it's very, very confusing, so I'm going to share with you from a banker's perspective, an ex-banker's perspective, and I'm going to share with you with a futuristic perspective, but I'm not claiming to know everything, nor am I asking you to trust a word I say. What I'm asking you to do is question everything I'm saying and learn how to fish. When you give a man or woman a fish, they eat for a day. When you give a fishing pole, they eat for a lifetime. As my boy William says, you teach them how to farm, they will feed a nation. So my name is Coach JB. I am the top health and mindset coach in the world. What you believe in your heart, you think in your mind, will eventually become your words and become your reality. So I'm the guy that brings you the information to allow you to critically think, to get you to start to research so that you can make good informed decisions. Now, we live in a society now where you have all of this at your fingertips, but I'm sure you don't have 8 to 9 hours a day like I do. I designed my whole life around studying the quantum financial system, teaching subconscious mind programming around wealth, high intensity training, and teaching people how to regain their mind, body, immunity, and free their dome. So let's go ahead and get started, guys. So we're going to start off with this here. I'm always basically going to take you through, I'm going to take you a little bit back a little bit because we're so caught up in the SEC lawsuit. Well, we can't forget what's been happening in the past, right? The SEC lawsuit doesn't erase the actual utility for XRP. Now, one thing I want to share with you guys is I do talk a lot about XRP. The reason why is my banking perspective. I spent 12 years in the banking system. I went to CBA Executive Banking School and learned how to scale banks from the ground up. I understand banking at a deep level, and I understand what XLM and XRP can do, and also the new Flare network coming on board with decentralized finance. We're heading into the QFS, a new quantum financial system, a decentralized system. Now, there's a lot of moving parts. Think about that. The whole system needs to be transformed. And you don't think banks are not going to be on board? The JPM coin is already on board. You got Jamie Dimon, the Chase JPM coin. They have their own blockchain type Ethereum database, or protocol. It's already here, Warriors. Bank of America is invested, has the most cryptocurrency patents. You have Wells Fargo who invested $5 million in a cryptocurrency platform. Your banks are already moving into the new realm of finances, okay? Digital technology in regards to the financial system, fintech. But let's take a look at what's happening. Then I'm going to take you through a virtual hearing that was last year, and then I'm going to show you some documents, and I'm going to explain what the DLT is, distributed ledger technology. I'm going to share with you a little bit about Stellar, and I'm going to show you a picture that one of my warriors sent to me to give you more of a visual on how XRP will work, or an XRP type system. Because I think we're all visual. Well, some are audible, some are visual. And so hopefully that'll help start to paint the picture for you. Now, I'm not encouraging you to go spend all your money on XRP. What I'm working to teach you is how the quantum financial system will work, how blockchain will work, because cryptocurrency or blockchain is just not money, right? You have tokens, right? You have Engine, which is a gaming token, which helps players bring skins in and out of the game. It helps gamers monitor their gaming system. VeChain, supply chain management, food safety. There's all kinds of different things. VeChain, COVID tracking, all kinds of different things. I don't even know if I was able to say that word. All kinds of different things that help the world become a better place. Okay, so let's get rid of the mark of the beast thing. People say, "Oh, it's the mark of the beast," but let me give you an antagonist to that. You think crypto's the mark of the beast? Okay, it says in the Bible. Remember, I'm a follower of God. I love God. I'm a follower of Jesus, but I'm non-religious. Okay, I love God. I love Jesus. I love you. But hear me out. In the Bible, it says you shouldn't charge interest. So, do you have a credit card? Do you have a car loan? Do you get interest on your bank account? Then you are doing something against the Bible. So think about that. You can get caught up in everything. As I said, if I had a pen in my hand, a pen could write you a beautiful letter or it could stab you in the neck. Anything can be used for good or for bad. So don't get caught up in the weeds with that stuff. Ask yourself, how can I bring the wealth back to my family? How can I do good with the money, which is God's money, it's vibrational energy, and how can we do great things and become the wealthiest people in the world, the uncommon 1%? All right, so get to it, Coach JB. Here we go. So Putin says U.S. actions driving world away from the dollar. Okay, now that is a very true statement. Think about that. The US dollar is a dominant force in the economy. Okay, everything is pegged to the US dollar. So complaints part long-running effort to erode the dollar's global dominance. Okay, smarting from the sanction increase in isolation following Russia's latest flare-up with Ukraine, Vladimir Putin again took aim at the US dollar global dominance. Putin on Thursday said that the US and other countries imposing sanctions on Moscow were shooting themselves in the foot, or worse, and that it was evident that the world continues to shaft against the dominance of the greenback, which serves as a world reserve currency, fueling the hunt for alternatives. So that's the key word right there, fueling the hunt for alternatives, okay? So that's really, really important to understand the narrative that's happening out there. We have the so-called battle with China in regards to the finances, right? We got now Putin saying that he's trying to move away from the US dollar. So that's important to understand as you're understanding the QFS or the quantum financial system, or where we're heading in our new financial system. As Jerome Powell says, we're heading back to a new economy. Okay, more based around technology. That's from his words out of his mouth, okay? So now this was a virtual hearing. This was back in June 11, 2020. Now, one thing I want to point out to you, these are the things that I watch all day. Now, there's only 11,680 people that have watched this out of 7 billion people in the world. That shows you where your focus is. They got your attention over here as there's a whole nother narrative switching over here. So we're going to listen for keywords within here. I'm going to show you a document, okay? I'm going to show you a document. I'm going to read some of the keywords, and I'm going to share with you DLT, Distributed Ledger Technology. I'm going to show you Stellar's protocol, and then I'm going to show you a really cool video around interoperability and maybe what it will look like in regards to the new system. And then I'm going to tell you what interoperability is. Okay, so that way you have a better understanding of where we're heading. So you're not just investing in a crypto to make some money.
People will see that soon. Let's see. The conversation today stands to be very insightful on two topics: the ways the federal government can better utilize technology to increase efficiency and delivery of government services, and the concept of a centrally backed digital currency. I appreciate and look forward to our witnesses' thoughts on these subjects. 2 months ago, I led a letter along with my colleague Darren Soto urging the Treasury to take additional steps to leverage all that American ingenuity, entrepreneurship, and innovation has to offer. As co-chairs of the Blockchain Caucus, we've been diving deep on all the technology and what it has to offer. It could help to serve both topics of this hearing I mentioned previously. In addition, a wide array of technologies could help the Treasury distribute the remaining stimulus payments that have not been distributed yet, and I urge them and each agency to consider new technologies that could help the agencies operate more efficiently and more quickly. I want to turn now to the second topic and what I think could stand to serve as the sole.
Okay, so you heard him talking about the digital dollar, right? So we're going to move it forward just a little bit. I got it right here. Okay, so we're going to go right here. Now, before we start this gentleman right here, he is quoted as saying that he believes XRP is not a security, that it is a currency. Very clearly has stated that.
The gentlelady yields. We'll now hear from Chris Giancarlo. Mr. Giancarlo, you are now recognized.
Thank you, Chairman Lynch and Ranking Member Emmer, and also thanks to Chairwoman Waters and Ranking Member McHenry. I'd like to begin with 3 observations from my time in public service. First, much of America's physical infrastructure, its bridges, our tunnels, our airports, that were once state-of-the-art in the last century, as we've all seen, have been allowed to age, deteriorate, and become obsolete in this century. Well, the same is true about some of our financial infrastructure. Methods of payment and settlement, shareholder and proxy voting, and investor access and disclosure that were once state-of-the-art in the 20th century are showing age and limitations in this new 21st century.
Okay, so what he's saying there is the old archaic banking system, the SWIFT system. Our system is old and archaic. So if you're taking advice from somebody who's stuck in an old paradigm, where do you think you're going to end up? Are you going to invest in the old paradigm, or are you going to look futuristically in the new paradigm that they're speaking about right here? This is a task force for financial technology. This is a financial services committee.
And nothing reveals the limits of our accounts-based financial system more starkly than the current COVID-19 pandemic, when tens of millions of Americans are waiting a month or more to receive relief payments by paper check.
Okay, so there's a narrative right there. How many people didn't get their stimulus check? Cats were getting stimulus check. Dead people were getting stimulus check. This is a great narrative to share with the American people. Here's why we're moving to a digital currency. There's my manifestation one.
My second observation is that we are certainly entering a new era when things of value like money and ag and mineral commodities, contracts, stock certificates and land records, and cultural assets like art and music and votes, and even personal identities will be stored, managed, and moved around in a secure way from person to person without central validators. It will be done by collective cartography in a decentralized network of computational algorithms. And my third
So it would be done through cryptography. Remember in 1996, I showed you MIT was already working on cryptography. So it's not just currency warriors. There's tokens. You're going to have tokenized real estate. You're going to have tokenized birth certificates, tokenized voting. Think about the voter fraud narrative, guys. You're going to vote on a blockchain very soon. It's very hard to corrupt the blockchain.
observation after the first two is that unless we act, this coming wave of innovation will put enormous strain on our aged financial systems.
Okay, I'll leave it there. If we don't act, it's going to put an enormous strain on the financial system. What's happening right now? They're printing money into oblivion. Okay, so this is a document from July 18th, 2018. So it feels like cryptocurrency is just coming on the space, or DLT, distributed ledger technology, or blockchain, right? They've been working on this for a while, Warriors. 1996, they were working on cryptography. In 2008, going to 2009, Bitcoin was implemented. And since Bitcoin, we printed more money. Does that tell you something? More money in history since Bitcoin was implemented? Okay, so what's happening? So let me read this document to you. So this is a future of money, digital currency, okay? So this is the testimony to the Subcommittee on Monetary Policy and Trade Committee in the Financial Services United States House of Representatives, okay? What happened then? One possibly is that people will connect to transact primarily in the commercial bank deposits, and things will be business as usual, will be much smaller cash components in a modern basis. Another possibility is that consumers will demand direct access to some form of digital central bank issued money and replacement for cash. A third possible is that consumers will turn to privately issued cryptocurrencies. Privately issued cryptocurrencies will decentralize a network of computers to facilitate remote peer-to-peer exchanges in the absence of trust between the parties and without the need of an intermediary. From the report on digital currencies from the Committee of Payments and Market Infrastructure. Typically, a payer stores in a digital wallet his or her cryptographic keys that give him or her access to the value. The payer then uses these keys to initiate a transaction that transfers a specific amount of type to the payee. The transaction then goes through a confirmation process that validates the transaction and adds it to a unified ledger of which the copies and distributed across peer-to-peer networks. In this regard, I use Bitcoin as a leading example. Other so-called altcoins, are captured by my remarks. These options are not manually exclusive, nor are they independent. The adoption rate of Bitcoin will depend not only on its performance as a money, but also on the alternative forms of digital money, if any, that central banks provide. Okay, this is important. If consumers perceive that they have inadequate access to cash like mediums of exchange, then they may be more inclined to turn to alternatives. On the other hand, if the central bank offers a digital form of central bank money to the public with sufficient cash-like properties, then perhaps this will appease those who miss cash. Central banks are currently evaluating numerous options for digital currencies, not just in the response to the swift shift away from cash, but also for meeting core objectives and enhancements for financial market infrastructure. Ongoing proof of concepts by central banks and private partners consider the use of central bank cryptocurrencies in wholesale systems. These applications are driven by efficiency and cost considerations, XRP, and have minimal monetary policy implications, In what follows, I'll begin to focus on the merits of widely accessible, retail-oriented central bank cryptocurrencies that could be used for public person-to-person and retail transactions. I will then return to discussion of wholesale application. So it talks within here DLT, right? So what is distributed ledger technology? So how does DLT endanger greater financial inclusion? Okay, distributed ledger technology. When we talked about this, he talked about financial inclusion, right? What is incredible impact, within this video, if you watch the whole video, they talk about bringing financial inclusion to people. There's people in certain countries that can't get access to their money because it's too expensive. So DLT will have an incredible impact on financial services and engender greater financial inclusion and therefore economic growth, especially in emerging economies. Now, this thing that I was reading right here was in 2018 before the pandemic. What happened during the pandemic? We started using everything on our phone. We got pushed into a narrative to do everything on our phone. Banks closed down. You had to go through the drive-thru. You had to be forced to use your wallets. You had to call a banker on the phone. You started doing Zoom calls. The whole narrative drove you towards digital technology, okay? That's the opinion of Adrienne Harris, whose interest in the world blockchain of digital assets began during her time as senior advisor at the U.S. Department of Treasury and a special assistant to the president to the White House during the Obama administration. Today, she sees the U.S. government sending checks by mail to stimulate the economy during the C-word crisis and the latest example of how technology could be used to enhance our current financial system. It highlights how Akron, the financial infrastructure, says Akron, today's experience presents a unique opportunity, especially in the U.S., to prompt a discussion around financial infrastructure. Okay, so that's distributed ledger technology from Ripple. Okay, Stellar. What does Stellar do? Stellar is an open network for storing and moving money across the system. Borderless, limitless, powerful. Ukraine, I think it's Ukraine. Yeah, Ukraine is building their whole central bank digital currency on XLM. I just found out today by CryptoCito. Go check out his YouTube channel, CryptoCito. He told me that Akon is actually running, the rapper Akon is running his cryptocurrency off of the Stellar network. So Stellar makes money better, global payment app so people have access to money, access exchanges. This stuff is remarkable, okay? So now I want to show you this to give you a broader picture of where this may be going, okay? So what is XRP and what does it do, right? If you notice within the infrastructure, if Russia is trying to move away from the US dollar, right? So the US dollar dominates all of this, warriors. So what if it went to an even playing field? An even playing field, remember the narrative that I've told you, is they talk about the even playing field. What if all the monetary systems went to an even playing field? And it ran across the Ripple XRP system. You got your interledger protocol that comes into the XRP ledger that goes into the banks, right? This would be your central banks, okay? Then you got your commercial banks, and then you got your interledger protocol, and then it goes through all these different payment platforms, marketplace, and then into these platforms here, okay? You got Ethereum, you got Oracle, IBM, Intel, Apple, Tesla, PayPal. You got all these different companies that are using this. So what Ripple does is, if you think about it, imagine like the Ripple is like a tram or like what would you call it? Not a bus, but like a fast train, right? So the currency would get on here and move through the rails very quickly and efficiently to get to the other person, right? Right now what happens is you send a wire from Japan to America. It has to go through all these different currencies up and through the SWIFT system over to America, and you have liquidity, okay? Liquidity, capital, right? Basically, when you're transferring that money, there needs to be liquidity for that money, right? So what Ripple does is it solves the liquidity crisis. They literally provide liquidity on demand for all the banks to move the money across the rails for seconds, pennies on the dollar. Think about that, warriors. You can move money quickly and efficiently from country to country. So I can move my digital yuan over to the US within seconds. So what happens is, on this side would be the digital yuan, hopefully I'm saying that correctly. You got the American dollar, and then XRP would move that through its rail, and you would just move from currency to currency. This would be the intermediary to get it in there, okay? So this kind of gives you a bigger picture of what it may look like. I wish I knew where one of my warriors sent this to me. I want to give credit where credit is due. But this thing really gave a clear picture so I can explain it to people what the solve is for XRP. And that makes sense why they're trying to push out retail investors, because this is designed for the big institutions. It's not designed for the retail investors. So it may be just for accredited investors, because this is some big money running through this, warriors. Does that give you a clear picture of what it's all about? So what is distributed ledger technology? Okay, let's go into that really quickly. So, interledger protocol. So I want to show you that really quickly so I can educate you guys and teach you how to fish. So you see ILP right here, interledger protocol. Okay. So if you go here, implementing the interledger protocol in Ripple. Ripple is thrilled to introduce interledger protocol for efficient payments across payment networks. Time and time again, we heard from the banks that Ripple changes the game, providing banks the ability to transact directly, instantly, and with certainty. We've also consistently heard from our bank partners two primary wish list items. Listen, first, as we saw with the introduction of UK's faster payment system, more efficient payments led to dramatic increase in overall transaction volumes. As Ripple drives new efficiency payments globally, our partners expect an unprecedented level of scalability. Second, financial institutions require the highest level of transaction privacy to protect their customers. Though customers' information, PII, and individual transaction data never touches Ripple's public ledger, banks prefer not to have aggregate transactions data recorded on the ledger. Over the last year, we've been working to fundamentally address both of these issues. That's why we're so excited about the interledger protocol and the benefits it brings to Ripple. With Ripple IPL, banks can leverage ultimate scalability. When you're a business owner, key is scalability and complete transaction privacy. This comes in addition to all the existing advantages of Ripple's distributed financial technology. Today's banks are deploying Ripple's solutions for cross-currency settlements on FX market making. When those solutions are interledger protocol enabled, banks won't have to change much. Market makers will still hold accounts at their banks, and they'll establish relationships with the other banks and other market makers with whom they want to transact with. ILP enables transactions across any number of different ledgers and exchanges using cryptographic escrow and specialized two-phase protocols. Okay? ILP will also enhance the reach and impact of Ripple's consensus, the RCL, which serves as the root ledger for digital currencies, XRP. Digital currencies continue to play a critical role in the burgeoning Internet of Value. As always, our focus is to make XRP the best bridge asset for market makers, providing cross-border liquidity. Cross-border liquidity. Picture it, warriors. Visualize it. See what's happening within the XRP space. Whereas I just want to bring clarity to you guys from a banker's perspective. I'm not saying that all this is right. Okay, what I'm saying is this gives you a clear view of what you're investing in and what you're moving towards. I'm not saying to go into XRP. I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. If you want access to my portfolio, you can join our private Warrior Academy down below. I show you exactly what I'm investing in. I have a broad portfolio of cryptocurrencies that are about to change the world, okay? Now, one thing I want to share with you guys is I'm going to continue to bring you information from a banker's perspective, but I don't know everything. I'm not asking you to trust a word I say. Comment down below, say what you mean, but don't say it mean. Let's learn and grow together, warriors. Let's bring the money back to the people. So if you want to join our private Warrior Academy, everything's down in the description down below. You can join our private Warrior Academy. We have a crypto call every single Thursday. I go over my portfolio. We go over new projects. We have a Discord with over 700 warriors. We have a technical analysis team in there. You get access to my portfolio every time it changes. You have a 120-day warrior challenge, mind, body, and immunity, and we work on generational wealth building. Warriors, rise. Let's go. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, hit that notification, 2 videos a day.